Morning. This is how to draw part 2. So, part 1 was looking at the resource and deciding what part of it I want to work on and what do I want to do with it. So this piece right here is right here. So I'm going to work on that section there and make changes as I deem necessary based on how the piece is evolving. You have all the choices of paper. This is a rough textured paper, regular newsprint is what I just showed you. You can cut a size you want to work with. Pencil, usually you work fairly small. The tools, you've got all kinds of pencils. You've got hard and soft, you've got charcoal pencils, and then the various erasers that you can use. So if dry media and drawing is what you want to do, you've also got color pencils, pastel pencils, and there are different ways to sharpen them. I'm going to use a pink pearl eraser, and this is a tool. You can sharpen it so you can get a nice little wedge shape on there using a piece of either a sandpaper pad or a piece of sandpaper. Okay, so how do you start? Well, if I'm going to use this piece of paper, and these are my margins, then I have to work to the edges. If you're going to cut it down, say I did something in here and I wanted to crop it, that's different. And this is composition. So I just like that dark patch and some of the overlapping lines. So I'm going to start in with the dots. You can locate key areas. I'm thinking maybe a dot for here. And keep it nice and light. And maybe something down here. So you can build up your shape that way with dots. You can also work very light and want to draw from the shoulder. Use your fingertips to control what you're doing. I work flat now primarily because of my shoulder, but we're going to do it vertical. I think you can see it better. And you don't always have to make marks when you're drawing. You can just slide and very, very lightly indicate what you're doing. Now I'm kind of seeing this as a rounded shape. I like to relax into what I'm doing. I'm thinking about this surface, this rock, this dry rock. And wherever that takes you, like how old is it? Those kind of things. I ended up choosing a horizontal. I probably would pick a vertical. That doesn't matter that much. And when you start out with lines that are straight lines, that's called blocking in. Whether you're making lots and lots of them or doing one, doesn't matter. And remember, if you want to copy this, just use the technology to do that. Okay. I'm actually making a lot of marks, but you can barely see it. If you make a dark mark and you don't like it, it's going to get hard to get rid of it. And I go to dots and lines, dots and lines. So key area here, just where you want to try to draw your shape. And I'm looking at the edge of my paper. So when you think you have things placed, you can start to get an edge. So anything in here is an edge, and you represent that with a line. So before I do any shading, I want to indicate the shape a little more clearly. Am I copying this? No, not really. It's almost like I could create my own rock and it would have this character. So when you start drawing and it becomes a single line, that line is called a contour line. And I know time is important because if you're looking at this, you're going to go to sleep. But if you're working on your own, an hour could go by. Part of it is just the enjoyment of drawing. Now I'm looking at the light as well as the dark when I'm drawing the shapes. And you have to do that because they're both shapes. Sometimes it's called positive, negative. I don't do it that way. It's just the shape. Okay, so let's see. The next step would be to do some shading. So I'm referencing that area in there. What you can't see is how my eye is moving back and forth. So it can be you memorize something and put it down, or a gentle rhythm back and forth. I tend to do a back and forth so I don't lose touch with either this or my drawing. And that's based on who you are. And it takes a while to get into the drawing, and you begin to see it pulling together. I try not to waste any marks. The marks should become part of your drawing. So don't just scribble on there. So make marks with a purpose. Now I'm kind of probing the shape, and that would be a gestural thing. You're kind of moving with the shape, and that gets your kind of your body into what you're doing. That's another approach. And nature is organic, meaning it has that growth feel to it, evolution. And I take deep breaths now and then to try to get relaxed. You can see that it's a gradual build-up from big things to small things. And in this case, you're going from light to dark. So you're dark. This pencil can't go very dark, so I may grab another pencil. Okay, I like this line through here, which is this here. And once you take the pressure off of saying, oh, I have to make it look just like the picture. No, you're making a rock. And before that, you're drawing shapes. So I hold a pencil like this. I do it whether I'm flat, drawing flat, or vertical. You have to when you're vertical. You're not up here going like this, sticking your tongue out, and all that kind of stuff. And you're drawing from the shoulder. Stop once in a while, look at what you're doing to see if this is becoming something. In fact, it's looking like some animal at this point. And if you see an animal and you want to go that way, go ahead. It's your drawing. Have some fun. Everything has to work together in your drawing. Now I can see that I got a lot going on here, not a lot going on over here. So I'm going to pick up some other elements. So this is another nice little piece, so I'm going to put that in there, a little curve there. And this comes down, there's another piece here. So I might put that shape down here. And you're not making judgments in that, oh, this is ugly, or my dog could do this. You don't want to say that. Okay. If your dog was drawing, it wouldn't look like you're drawing. You can see it's kind of bumpy here. So you don't want to just make it flat. And I see shapes within that. So why don't I go ahead and do some of that. I'm going to take something inside, start adding more detail. Detail comes at the end. At the end, not at the beginning. I'm going to show you how to use the eraser in a minute, because knowing you can always remove some things, meaning you're drawing the light part of your piece. Now, how dark do I want to go? I'm going to commit to something here. I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to start to add some more detail in there. Shapes within shapes within shapes. And the act of drawing is therapeutic. I mean, you're thinking about the drawing. Actually, I see something here that looks like a face. So if it comes out where I'm doing that, where I see kind of an eyeball or something like that, I might include that. I see a lot of faces in my work. And you can see I'm left-handed, so my strokes, the natural direction is this way. If you're right-handed, it's going to be this way. Doesn't mean you can't change it. You can also use your finger to blend things. So time needs to stop. If you're thinking about time, your analytical brain is controlling what you're doing. You don't want that. You might look back at your last drawing and see what happened. So if I'm looking at this, I go, oh yeah, there was this piece right in here. So maybe I'll look for that in my photograph. It doesn't matter. Your exploration was to get the feel of what you're doing. So I'm going to leave that there. Okay, let's come back to here. I probably worked about 5 minutes. Okay, so let me take the eraser. And again, I've sharpened this so I have some other surfaces to work on. And if you wanted to adjust the shape, you take it and go into the shape like that. You don't try and just erase it like that. Cut into it. You can address the line after. So now I'm going to come back and be a little more precise. The paper and the tool you're working with affect what you're doing. It's going to look like pencil. So I'm working in this area again. I took this whole large thing and this is what my eye landed on. So what am I doing when I'm drawing this? I'm looking at how the shapes are coming alive and how they relate to the edges, how it sits on the paper. A lot of this is a feeling. So if you're doing a drawing, it has to feel like it could hang, that it's got a balance to it. So if you drew all down in one corner, that wouldn't work. So you've got to look at the shape of what you're doing. So I'm building it up gradually. And you can come to the pencil point. That's okay. So if you get down to near the end of this, and I'm not there yet, you would come in perhaps with some real definitive line. How long would it take me to do this drawing? Well, I'm not going to do the whole thing in front of you. I'm going to work on some of it off to the side. So bring it up to kind of this effect all over. Let's see, is there anything else I can do? Well, I could shape some of this at this point. This line is that right here. I kind of like how it fades in and out, so I'm going to take some of that out. These aren't mistakes. This is a tool. So you're drawing with the eraser. And you're learning all the time about technique. I mean, how do you work a tool? So if I showed you what I'm doing now, let me reach over here. I'm an oil painter, a landscape painter. So this is a piece I'm working on. I believe there's a post on Facebook. I don't know, today or tomorrow. So today I worked this section right here. And I like the dynamic there about what's going on. There's always a mystery in the work. It hangs together. Okay. I have a website with things on there, but not a lot. So it's a sample. So if you see something you like, just contact me. And my website is tombrooksartist.com. So this is the end of part 2. Hope you enjoyed it.